Hi everyone. If you scrolled through YouTube Shorts at any time this year, you've likely heard this song.
Happy hair, may have you buried all your children. Tell me, so I say.
So this song is by an artist called Yaelokre, or however it's pronounced. I'm not aware of any official pronunciation that they've mentioned, but their music is a kind of fantasy folk style, and it's told in universe by a group called the Lark. And their actual names are Cole, Clementine, Perrine, and Kingsley. And as you can see, they each have masks that represent a different group called the Harkers. If you want to know about the actual lore that people are theorizing on, then I'd suggest go finding another video, because I don't have any idea. I just like the music. But I also really like the art style, and I thought I would try to make models of each of the masks that are printable. So this video is about the second one that I've made, which is Clementine's or Clem's, and I've already made Cole's mask previously, and I made that in a video. I turned that into a short video, which is somewhere on my channel, but I figured I would make an actual video showing how I made this one in Blender. And I don't have all of the footage, but I have enough of it to be able to show you how I went about modeling this mask. So I started off in this project by importing an image of Clem that showed a good front view, and also importing a 3D scan that I had of my own head. Obviously, people don't usually have that sort of thing, but there are multiple models that are fairly accurate of a human head that you can use instead. And as you can see here, I've taken the default cube in Blender and squashed it down into one vertices that I'm extruding out following the pattern of the mask. I have snap turned on for this, and I have it set to face project so that it snaps to the contours of the 3D scan of my face, and I also have the mirror modifier on. So I just went around the outline of one side of Clem's mask there, and as I started doing the ear, I realized that I didn't really have a good view of the ear on that model, so I swapped to a different image that I found online, and that let me go back. I had to adjust a couple of the vertices just so that they looked a bit better, and as you can see there, I'm now just moving the vertices that I'd added so that they make a bit more of a closer shape to the ear of Clem's mask. And now I'm just extruding a second part that will become the sort of overlapped section of the ear. I don't really know if there's any specific word for it in animal anatomy. Now here I'm adding in what will be the eyes and just refining the outline of the mask just so that it's closer to this reference that I was using. And this just makes it a little bit easier for me to follow the exact mask's geometry. Now I'm just quickly filling in the spaces just with selecting different areas and using Blender's autofill tool. I filled in two sections in the ear, so I did all of the main section, and then I also extruded out that section which will be overlapped afterwards. And this is what I was left with after filling in all of the areas. So I just quickly added a subdivision modifier onto it just to smooth out edges and make it a little bit easier for the bulk sculpting process. And here I'm roughing out what will become the actual shape of the mask. So just going in with a few different tools in sculpt mode and just manipulating the mask, adding some bulk to the main section so that it looks closer to, in 3D space, what the mask will look like. And then I'm adding some bulk to the ear. I'm just masking off that bottom section so I don't mess around with that. Adding some just a bit more volume to that ear, and then going in with a different tool and hollowing out that inside section. And then just smoothing everything out, getting it nice and even, and removing any obvious or clear lumps. So now I'm going in with the elastic deform tool and with the reference image on, and just refining a couple of areas, refining the shapes, getting the eyes to be the correct shape that they need to be. And then I'm just adding a mirror modifier so that I can get the two sides nice and even and check how things look there. So once it was in a good state from the front, I checked on the back. I realized that the ear on the back of the ear wasn't closed off, and so it looked quite deformed there. So I just wanted to go in and smooth that out. Also smooth out some of these areas where the geometry's just been a little bit weird and I haven't noticed. Just kind of going over the edges as well and cleaning things up. I only really need to work on one side of the model, since I'm just gonna add the mirror modifier again once it's at a place that I like it. And here I'm adding some volume to the nose so that that pushes out a bit more, becomes a bit more defined as a part of the mask. And then just smoothing out the back of the ear a bit more. I went back afterwards and I cleaned that up a bit further later on, but I don't have a recording of that. Now I'm gonna use the fill tool, or maybe not yet, but just trying to bring that down a little bit further, just to get that nice and smooth. Only using tools in the sculpt section of Blender. And this is the final model in Blender at the moment. As you can see, it's quite different to the model that was at the end of the time lapses. I did go in after the first print of this and I adjusted a couple of things. So you can see I've got these small tabs here on the side, and this is what the elastic cord goes through to go around your head. I also filled in this section here and adjusted around the eyes as well, because the eyes were a bit too far back and they sort of dug into my eyes a little bit when just on the first version. But I'm quite happy with it, and it printed nicely, so yeah, it's turned out pretty well, I think, and I'm looking forward to working on the next one.